Okay, folks, so this is a new video, January 2023. We haven't been posting video for a while. It was kind of different coming back here. I've been here for like now 4 months, and things definitely changed here in the US, at least here in the Midwest, or at least here in Wisconsin. And here in the Midwest is still cool. I mean, it's pretty laid back, people are nice, but I don't know exactly what happened in the last couple of years, but um, I don't know. There's a different vibe. Seems like people are a little bit more on the downer side, so to speak. And even customer service, we noticed, wasn't like it used to be. And like I said in some other videos, simulating some of the aspects of Europe, and not the best one in my opinion, at least because I think the US was good for some things and Europe was good for some other things. But in my opinion, when the US brings home some of the not so good features of Europe, for me doesn't feel like the US anymore. I don't know if you ever lived in Europe, but we could tell the difference, and there is like a point when it doesn't make any sense to live in the US anymore. If the US becomes like Europe, then you might as well stay in Europe. We noticed the difference, at least even last time we lived here was 2015, so like 7 years is a lot. We came here, get back here in 2019 for a couple of weeks on vacation, and it wasn't like this. So we all know what happened in the last couple of years. I think that could be one of the reasons. I don't know exactly why, but at least personally I felt the difference. I don't know, some of you guys, maybe you were born and raised here in the US, maybe you traveled to Europe. Now maybe you came back here, or like us, you lived in both places. Maybe you have a different point of view, or you like can relate. I think, at least what I've seen, even on an energetic level, even because we talk about more esoteric stuff in general, whatever you wanna, whatever definition you wanna give to esotericism, but it just means something deeper, just going in ourselves. After a while, I think if you develop a different kind of energy, or you get more used to feel the energy, to train your intuition, if you try to always keep your eyes open, your senses open, I think you're more sensible, whether like good changes, like no changes for the good or for the bad, whether like good or bad can have a definition. And because in the end is also obviously always subjective, even if you're like a wizard, still it's what goes on in our own mind that defines the way we see the world. Maybe true that there's like a general or universal truth, but in the end, even if that is true, in the end our own personal truth in our everyday life is what we choose to believe and what we call truth. So even our perception, even just my ideas about what I just said is just my own idea. And I think even just simply traveling or living in different countries can help you open your perception a little bit. Not always. Sometimes it can. You maybe should. Like to study these, topics like hidden knowledge, occultism, whatever. It necessarily doesn't mean good, bad. The label you want to give it doesn't really matter. If at the end of the day you try to better yourself, not harm anyone, that's a little. It's close to the principle even of libertarianism or freedom, you know you don't harm anyone, and obviously you don't let anyone harm you. That's also important as well. But generally speaking, we've seen there's been definitely like a dumbing down of people. Maybe there's always been, maybe in the last few years even more. At least coming back here to the US in the last few months, or I've seen the difference, but still, there's pockets like everywhere else. But at least up here, where we are right now in the Midwest, I don't know if it's the cold. I don't know if something different happened, but we've noticed a change. Honestly, not for the better, or at least like obviously not for the better for us, for the way we think, and we want to live. And even like daily life seems like kind of harder and more expensive than it used to be. Like I'm not the first one to say it. There's some other places not like this, so that's good and bad. It's always a good experience. But I think it's always interesting when you live in different places. You speak different languages. You study new stuff every day. It's also interesting to study our own mind and to see how it works, because you cannot always put yourself in a sort of new position, or there was a challenge. It's not always like a wanted challenge. There are days when you don't want any challenge. There are many days when I cannot even think in my own language. I cannot even speak in my own language. And we've been in places when we had to, do stuff in a second, third language. Plus, your daily life, you go to work. These seem just like petty problems. But in the end, if you want to be, I think, a real magician in the real basic meaning of the term, you pretty much have to manage and transform pretty much every moment of your life. Obviously it's not easy, but I think one of our goal, if we have one goal, even with these videos that we're making, is first of all for ourselves, try to improve ourselves, looking for the truth ourselves, and if we can inspire others to do the same. Like one thing that we can take home for the new year is whatever like we live, whether it's like US, Europe, or whatnot. It's always like a good experience, in my opinion, to live abroad when you really like do it for yourself, even on an esoteric level. The know thyself. I think it's important, and it's really like a good life experience. And it could be good, it could be bad, it could be positive or negative, and obviously every day is different and everybody has their own situation. But my wife and I, we live like in a few different countries, and I'm from Italy, she's from here, from the US, and even in this like few more than 10 years that we've been like living and working and traveling back and forth, and lived in Germany for a while. We travel to a little bit around the world, and I think it's always like a good experience. Even always watching the news, if you happen to watch the news, or even if we don't watch the news, we're always surrounded by news. They're always talking about politics, immigration, money, the apocalypse, the collapse, and whether you believe in these things or not, I think it's still important to always work on ourselves. That's, I think, one of the point of our channel, so to speak, or our website, or what we talk about. First of all, like the personal self-development, which obviously entails esotericism, whatever name you want to give to it, and simply like digging deeper in the things that are less known and more hidden, or occult, they just mean hidden, or things that we perceive but we don't know where they are. And even in our daily life, our like regular people, even going to a job or whatever, still we can have this mindset, not in every moment because it's hard every moment, but even in our daily life, to always keep in mind, first of all, that we have to know ourselves before we can know other people, before we can relate to the world. And I think if I can, give like a good, or like, a New Year's resolution for this 2023, to work more on ourselves, whatever it means for you, and always go deeper. And going deeper may hurt, truth may hurt, but I think it's always worth it. And truth always wins. And in the end, it's true that knowledge is power.